In 2019, then US President Donald Trump shocked the world when he casually suggested buying Greenland from Denmark. At first, the idea sounded absurd. Why would the US want a massive icy wasteland with fewer people than a small town? But beneath the jokes and memes, one thing became clear. Greenland is far more valuable than most people realize. It is a land of untapped resources, strategic military importance, and a looming environmental catastrophe that could reshape the planet. And yet, most of the world still knows very little about it. What is it about this frozen giant that has caught the attention of the world's superpowers? And could it hold the key to the future of our planet? Greenland is the largest island in the world, covering an area of 2.16 million square kilometers. But despite its massive size, it has a population of just 56,000 people, making it one of the most sparsely populated places on Earth. Why? It's because Greenland is almost entirely covered in ice. The Greenland ice sheet, a massive frozen cap that is up to 3 kilometers thick, covers over 80% of the island. This leaves only a few narrow strips of land along the coast where people can actually live. And even there, life is not easy. Greenland is so remote that there are no roads connecting its towns. Instead, people travel by boat, airplane, or even the old-fashioned dog sled in the winters. In some areas, the sun does not set for months in summer, while in winter, darkness blankets the land for weeks on end. But despite its harsh environment, Greenland is incredibly rich, just not in the way most people think. Beneath its frozen surface lie vast deposits of rare earth elements, uranium, gold, and oil. These materials are crucial for modern technology, from smartphones to electric car batteries to military weapons. For years, these resources have been too difficult to access, trapped beneath layers of ice. But now, as the planet warms, Greenland's ice is melting at record rates, exposing more land and making mining more viable. This has sparked a new global interest in Greenland, as countries like the US, China, and Russia eye its potential wealth. Some experts even believe that Greenland could become one of the richest nations in the Arctic if it plays its cards right. Now, for thousands of years, Greenland's ice has been one of the largest and most stable ice sheets on the planet. But only in the past few decades, things have changed dramatically. Scientists have confirmed that Greenland is losing ice at an alarming rate. Since 1992, Greenland has lost more than 5 trillion tons of ice. In 2019 alone, Greenland lost 532 billion tons of ice, a record-breaking melt that shocked climate scientists. If Greenland's ice sheet fully melts, it could raise global sea levels by over 7 meters. In fact, if Greenland continues to melt at this accelerated rate, it won't just be a problem for Greenlanders, it will be a catastrophe for the entire planet. Coastal cities like New York, London, and Shanghai could be submerged. Entire island nations in the Pacific could disappear. Mass migrations could reshape global demographics as people flee rising waters. You see, this is not just a theory, it is already happening. Greenland's melting ice is now the single largest contributor to global sea level rising. And as the Arctic warms, the situation is only getting worse. The question now is no longer if Greenland's ice will melt, but how fast. Now this brings us back to why the US is trying to buy Greenland. Donald Trump made headlines in 2019 when he offered to buy Greenland from Denmark. The idea was widely mocked. But behind the scenes, Trump's interest in Greenland was no joke. For decades, Greenland has been a critical piece in global military strategy. The US already has a major airbase in Greenland, known as Thule Air Base. This base serves as a key part of America's missile defense system, watching for nuclear threats from Russia. It is also a strategic Arctic outpost, as the region becomes more important for global trade and military activity. Additionally, it's a potential hub for resource extraction, as Greenland's ice melts and exposes valuable minerals. But of course, it's not just the US that wants a stake in Greenland. China has been quietly expanding its presence in the Arctic, and Greenland is a big part of its plan. China has already tried to invest in Greenland's rare earth mining industry, seeing it as a way to dominate the world's supply of critical minerals. It has also offered to help Greenland build new airports and infrastructure, which many see as an attempt to gain influence over the island. Denmark and the US in their turn have blocked several Chinese investments in Greenland, fearing that Beijing could use them to gain foothold in the region. But knowing China, it won't give up. It sees Greenland as a key part of its long-term strategy. Meanwhile, Russia has been aggressively expanding its military presence in the Arctic, reopening Soviet-era bases and deploying new nuclear-powered icebreakers. With tensions rising between Russia, China, and the West, Greenland is becoming more important than ever. If a conflict were to break out in the Arctic, Greenland would be a major battleground. In short, this frozen island in the middle of the North Atlantic is far more valuable than most people realize. It is not just ice and snow. It is the key to the future of global power. Now that the Arctic warms and ice rescind, Greenland is no longer seen as a remote ice-covered landmass with little connection to global trade routes. Greenland is becoming a critical player in the future of global shipping. And if you're wondering what are the main reasons, the Northern Sea Route and the Transpolar Route. Traditionally, cargo ships traveling between Asia and Europe had to pass through either the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal. The Suez Canal is prone to geopolitical instability, such as the 2021 blockade by the Ever Given container, and the Panama Canal is facing increasing drought and shipping restrictions. So now that the Arctic ice melts, new sea routes above Greenland are opening up, potentially cutting thousands of kilometers off global shipping distances. Now, with Greenland sitting right at the gateway to these new routes, it could become a major refueling and logistics hub for the Arctic's emerging shipping industry. To explain further, Greenland's geography puts it in a unique strategic position between North America, Europe, and the Arctic trade routes. And as Arctic shipping grows, Greenland's ports such as Nuuk, Sisimiut, and Qaqortoq could become key resupply points for cargo vessels similar to Singapore's role in Southeast Asia. But there is a problem. Greenland's infrastructure is extremely underdeveloped. Most of its ports are too small to handle large cargo operations. It also lacks major rail or road networks, making island transportation quite difficult. And the extreme weather conditions make year-round operations quite a challenge. This is why countries like China have been eyeing Greenland's ports, offering to invest in their expansion to gain a foothold in the Arctic trade network. But as we've mentioned earlier, Denmark and the US have pushed back against these moves, recognizing that whoever controls Greenland's ports could control key parts of future Arctic shipping. Now, if Greenland decides to invest in modern ports, shipping infrastructure, and icebreaker fleets, it could position itself as a key player in the Arctic's new trade economy. The question is, can Greenland build the infrastructure it needs before foreign powers step in to control it? With climate change rapidly transforming the Arctic, Greenland is no longer just a frozen wasteland. It is a rising player in the future of global trade. Now, it's important to point out that Greenland is not a country. Not yet. Many people assume that Greenland is an independent country, but it's actually still a territory of Denmark. Now, of course, Greenland has its own government, but Denmark still controls its foreign policy, defense, and currency. Every year, Denmark provides Greenland with over $500 million in subsidies, which makes up to 20% of Greenland's entire economy. For years, many Greenlanders have pushed for full independence from Denmark. But there is a big problem. Greenland isn't financially independent. To break away from Denmark, Greenland would need new sources of income. Some see mining and tourism as the answer, but these industries come with risks. While mining could bring huge profits, it would come at the cost of Greenland's fragile environment. And tourism could create jobs, but Greenland lacks the infrastructure to support mass tourism. And then there is the risk of foreign influence. If Greenland gains independence, who will it turn to for financial help? The US? China? Russia? The future of Greenland is uncertain at this point. But one thing is clear, it won't remain a forgotten island forever. Greenland's fate will not be determined in Washington, Beijing, Copenhagen, or Moscow. It should ultimately be decided by the Greenlandic people. After all, they are the ones who must navigate this complex reality, choosing whether to forge a path as a sovereign nation or remain under Danish rule. Because if all these current estimations come to reality, Greenland's future will affect the entire planet. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell.